Here we go. Okay, here we go, chat. Episode 6 is called The Price. All right, well, yeah, before we get into it, we'll do the alerts. Okay, spoilers. There's not a ton of memes. I really just wanted to talk about this one a lot because it's just like the themes are very, very strong and I think connect with a lot of people from this episode. So here we go. All right, spoilers incoming if you have not watched The Last of Us. Okay, so we got a lot of special moments that we remember from the game in this episode, specifically the space and museum scene, which was so good. But some of the themes, actually 3 of the main themes this episode specifically are protection and the cost that it incurs, coming of age, and alienation. Those are 3 themes that I wanted to talk about. This episode starts with one of the best surprise guest stars I've ever seen. Lalo, the GOAT, Tony Dalton, appearing, playing Joel's father in a flashback of Joel as a child. Oh, how many O's in generational trauma? No, it was so good, bro. It was so good to think about why Joel is the way he is. Like telling us a story about someone who we thought we knew. It was great. This scene, I can't get over his performance. I'm a massive fan of Tony Dalton. Massive. In fact, probably one of my favorite characters in all of Better Call Saul, which is, as you can maybe see, one of my favorite shows. I named my Rocket League team after it. So his performance made me cry. He commands the screen. He is a fucking incredible actor. But I'm sitting there bawling my eyes out as he's talking about his dad breaking his jaw. Or was it his jaw or was it his sibling? I think it was his. Just talking about his dad beating the shit out of him when he was a kid and sort of having this moment where he's like, I'm trying to just do better than my dad did. It was his. I'm trying to just do better than my dad did. And hopefully you will do better than I did. So this is a story about Joel. This episode is about Joel. And it's about Joel and Ellie, but it's really about Joel. And it explains a lot about why he feels so strongly attached to the role of helping and saving people. He was doing it for his little brother, Tommy, when he was a kid, protecting him from his dad. And he did it and tried to do it for Sarah. And then he's switched to doing it for Ellie. And so he's like really only ever had this like protector role kind of reinforced throughout his life. And it illuminates, I think, a lot of why he's so one-track minded. Once he meets and bonds with Ellie, he's so blinders on, so you're not going to tell him anything about why he's wrong or how he should rethink something or how something might not even be his decision. He's like protect at all costs. And all costs there will be. Like, it's not free. So he chooses to protect Ellie, as we know, and he's basically facing the music this episode. And we're seeing how it like changes their relationship. I feel like I say it every week, but like what a performance by everyone in this show. This episode highlights the difficult conversations we have with those we love and how we navigate the seas of complicated feelings in life to try and preserve that love. It's so interesting to watch this with actors and watch it in real life because you get to see these little things happening in conversation with their facial expressions and their emotions and how they react to their other people's words. And you see it on screen differently, and I just appreciated that. But a lot of this episode was showing how while Ellie is appreciative of being kept alive and protected, she's her own person, and she has her own opinions and feelings and morals. And she's coming to this point where she's like realizing that Joel, while he is, you know, this all good character in her life, he has a lot of different opinions and different ways of going about difficult situations. The lighting department was probably literally doing a Cirque du Soleil routine in the back of this shot. So shouts out to them. However they pulled this off, it was beautiful. It felt so good to have it be exactly like the game. It was cinema. This is going to be an episode I come back to probably because it is just so, it's like nostalgic. It's gut wrenching. It's beautiful. It's like a break from the story. It's like you get a little bit of a break from a lot of death and killing, and you have just story, and you have a different kind of pain. This made me laugh, bro. This made me laugh really hard, actually. Not this girl trying to convince Joel that the tattoo is going to look good when she feels it. Like she's already booking session 2 while she's getting shooed out of the room. That was really funny, bro. Great scene. Love that they brought back the other one from episode 2, was it? I think it was 2. Great. Yeah. Good. Really fun scene. Like I loved the writing. I loved this interaction. I thought it was good. Gonna start referring to Julien as the other one, no offense. That's cool. This shot was so good. So they built this thing to make it real. It was in the game and then they built it. Yeah, why is Gale carrying the season though? Why does it feel like every time we see Gale, whatever like frustration, you know, she feels like she's fourth wall a little bit in like a way of like she's almost just like she's looking at the camera being like, as a viewer, you guys aren't fucking crazy. This shit's fucking crazy. She's like the one we relate to. Yeah, she's there. She's there for the viewer, I think. I just took a bunch of screenshots of this episode because it was really, I want to appreciate it. Oh, I screenshotted this because this is in the flashback before they see Eugene. Ellie is like pausing to look. The fireflies. Nice chat. This whole episode, you see it on her face. She's just thinking about this conversation. And you even see her practicing the conversation, right? She wrote down her questions. She's like, I've thought about this for so long. I need that. I need the answers. And the fireflies here, great. Okay, I want to say this really quick. When watching this episode, first and second, when I was going through and doing my screenshots, and I saw this moment where she like paused and looked. I actually didn't even pick up it was fireflies. So GG's chat, that was not a test question. I didn't even see it, but it really just ties back to the fact that she is thinking about that fireflies situation. As she doesn't really even know the answer or the truth about what happened, because she was basically unconscious for all of it, right? So it was a great little nod to that, and I thought it was subtle because I didn't even know it. And I think it's good to have some stuff just be missed. I think it's good to have stuff only visible like on the second or third watch. Sometimes it's nice. I like the fact that this was just an overhead. I just appreciated that they had a cool little crane shot or whatever this is. Okay, Eugene. We had to talk about Eugene. Eugene's a character that we learned about when we meet Catherine O'Hara's character, Gale, in episode 1, I think, right? 1 or 2? Maybe it was 2. Either way. No, 1, briefly. And we know that Joel killed Eugene. We don't know any of the details about it. So this is the episode we learned the details. So this is Eugene right here. He's been infected. They get a call on the radio. They go investigate. Eugene just by himself, bit in the rib, just infected. So he's gonna die. But I remember looking at this shot and being like, fuck, this reminded me of season 1, episode 1, when he's holding Sarah and the Fedra guard is like there, and there's just like, you don't even see his face because of the blinding light, and just like what this probably felt like for Eugene and how desperate he was. Just like a really sad story. But it is interesting to see Joel on both sides of this little interaction here. He is trying to keep his people in Jackson safe. He's definitely trying to keep Ellie safe. So he's doing this to help those, but it's interesting. This episode was so like, it felt to me like there were so many moments of miscommunication, and it's miscommunication that I feel like I've experienced in my life so much. And a good example of that is like Joel doesn't understand that all Eugene wants is to have the comfort to hear his wife one more time, see his wife one more time before he dies. Like he needs that. It's not a matter of her getting information or something being relayed. It's not really even a matter of Gale. It's like he's not even looking at Eugene as a human past the moment where he saw a bite mark in his rib. So Eugene he just wants to be a human for like his last moments, and Joel doesn't understand that. He's like, look at this pretty view while I kill you so that it doesn't hurt and you can have a nice pretty view. And like, if you love someone, you'll always be able to see them. And like, I just felt the frustration. And by the way, what a performance for Eugene. I just felt the frustration for him where he's like, I don't want to turn bad. I don't want to get anyone else infected, but I like personally, I'm a human. I've lived however many years, and the last thing I want is I just need to hear my person one more time, please, for me, not for her. And Joel doesn't understand that, and he just shoots him. And this quiet shot of the birds flying, wow, you know, holy crap, that's sad. Not radioing was a huge plot hole. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I think the reason why I appreciate the Eugene storyline so much is because I'm gonna skip ahead. Eugene is used as sort of like a storytelling tool here, right? Him getting to talk to Gale one more time doesn't actually hurt or help the story one way or the other. Joe Pantoliano, yeah, thank you for that. So Eugene is like, he's a tool to sort of show why Ellie and Joel have grown apart in such a big way. So I agree with you that they could have probably just radioed Gale, but I don't think they wanted that to happen. I think they wanted you to see Joel handle this in a really bad way after promising that he was going to go out of his way to be a human being to Ellie. We're going to do this the way, we're going to get them one last moment. And then he just goes against all of that. They wanted us to feel the frustration too. Yeah. I mean, this whole episode's about context. Joel has a very black and white approach to life and how he solves problems, while Ellie has learned to live in the gray. Joel sees right or wrong, clean versus infected, safe versus dangerous. Ellie sees all that lies in between. So this is a big, as Ellie becomes their own person, there's this divide, and it's so like you don't have to be in end times in a tiny commune in the middle of nowhere while the world has been devoured by like cordyceps to understand what it feels like to have someone you love not be able to communicate with you or hear you at all, to like your very core, and they claim that they love you and they're doing things for you, but you don't feel heard. And it just explains a lot about these characters, and it explains a lot that Joel, in trying to do the one thing that he couldn't do for Sarah and that he wanted to do for Tommy and protect this person, and trying to do that, he ultimately like scarred that relationship. Okay, so real quick, I love this shot because you have Joel alone in the middle, you have Tommy and Gale representing Jackson, family, community, selflessness. You have Ellie, who just doesn't know what is going on. You have Ellie not next to Joel. You have Ellie, who's not part of the Jackson part of the screen, completely on her own. I don't know, just an interesting shot. You have this moment of like, visually, you just look at all these characters and that you can feel all their insane frustrations and intense feelings about everything. And it's this blinders on, I have to be a protector thing that Joel does that gets him in these horrible situations and makes him act bad in these horrible situations. So Joel lies to Gale completely. He says, Eugene says he loved you. He was at peace. He was happy. He killed himself. The end. He gave her what he thought she would want to be able to move on, losing her husband. But he did this for himself. This was not noble. This was not for Gale. This was not for Eugene. This was for him. He's very, very selfish for this. And he's in denial about a lot of things. And Ellie's the first person who he actually, I think, listens to, where he starts to realize he might be in a little bit of denial. And then you have the porch conversation where he finally confesses to what he did. Ellie is confirmed in her suspicions. I thought the Eugene storyline was so good for so many reasons. And one of those reasons is it makes you take a second to question, okay, why, aside from the fact that Ellie is sort of like building this little by little, she's getting closer and closer to confronting Joel. And it just kind of needs to take her one big thing to push her over the edge for her to do it, right? So this serves in one way as that thing, the tipping point. The other thing I think it does with the Eugene storyline, it reminds you why Ellie is sensitive to people and how they die after being bitten and what their last moments are like. So Ellie has had to live on this, like, you're always on trial ever since Ellie learned that she was immune, and she made her way, to Jackson through all that, led there. She has had countless interactions, probably so many that you'd have to assume she has that we're not watching or playing in the game, where people are like treating her less than a human. Because what people do in this world is they see someone get bit, and that person is no longer, even in the final moments, they're no longer a person. They are just a threat. They're just a risk to you. You have to take them out, which I get. But having gone through that and having had to convince people, bro, like Ellie knows what it feels like to be bitten and to think that these are your last moments, and how much worse everything would be made if in those final moments you were treated like Joel treated Eugene. And so I think them starting this flashback episode with the scene of Ellie coming back with the burn after having sort of burned her arm to cover up the bite mark so she could sort of wear short sleeves and express herself and move on and feel free of that. It kind of all comes back, right, to that last thing, which is Eugene. Like, Eugene didn't probably do anything actually wrong. He probably was just out doing whatever and got bit. Like, it's, you know what I mean? Like, he didn't deserve to die. But Joel couldn't in a million years see things from Ellie's perspective. So, big fan of the episode. Probably my favorite of the season so far. I just thought it was really good story. It was really good new sort of context for Joel. And to me, it made a lot of the zooming through the events of part 2 in television version justified. The fact that they were able to slow down and sort of like give you some stuff, right? Because all of season 1 is about the bond between these two, and then season 2 starts and you feel like you're thrown into things and you don't even understand what's happening. So they really give you a second in episode 6 to just like see what happened. So next week is the finale, and we will talk about it when it airs. But GG's.